Good morning and welcome to Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. I'm the Reverend Christian Schmidt, honored to serve as your interim minister. Whether you are new to this community or a longtime member, no matter what propelled you to set aside this time and join us in worship, know that you are welcome here. We especially welcome our visitors this morning. You're invited to stay after worship for our social hour. And if you would like to be in touch with us, please email us at info@mvuc.org. Mount Vernon Unitarian Church is a community dedicated to welcoming the stranger and working for justice wherever the heavy weight of oppression has dug into the fabric of life. To that effort, we counter the doctrine of discovery by naming and honoring the traditional indigenous inhabitants of this land, the Piscataway, the Powhatan, and the Tux, white named Doug. We gather on Sundays and throughout the week to find comfort and to recommit ourselves to the mission of supporting one another in our spiritual journeys, working for the care of the earth, and building the common good by dismantling systems of oppression and justice. It is good to be together. Before our worship begins, I have just one announcement I'd like to share for the benefit of our entire community. Hum and Strum will be this Friday, August 20th at 7 p.m. Join us for an informal sing-along fellowship, maybe a campfire if weather permits, on the third Friday of the month, each month until October. Look for us in the meadow or the fire pit or on the patio by the picnic tables near Holland Hall. Bring a flashlight, music stand, your favorite camp chair. We'll have some seats and some songbooks to share. Sing, play, and enjoy. If you have questions, contact Marty Bredick. Know if you are ever in need to that our church staff is just an email or phone call away, as am I. I invite you now to take a deep breath with me as we enter into this time of worship. We light this chalice to affirm that new life is ever waiting to break through to enlighten our ways, that new truth is ever waiting to break through to illumine our minds, and that new love is ever waiting to break through to warm our hearts. May we be open to this light and to the rich possibilities that it brings us. And so we light our chalice this morning with this in mind.
Good morning. Please join us in singing hymn 361 in your great hymnal and on the screen. Enter, rejoice, and come in.
Let us join our voices in the covenant found on the screen and in your heart.
Love is the teaching of this church.
The quest of truth is its daily task, and service is its prayer.
to dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom,
to serve life and community, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony.
This is our covenant with each and with all.
Each week we take a time to share a story or an activity that's designed to be for all ages, for everyone to appreciate. And so this is that time. Today I want to tell you a little bit about myself. This is my first Sunday preaching at Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. And it seems right to sort of give you a little bit of who I am. So I wanted to do this by telling you about my stole. This stole, this sort of garment that a lot of ministers wear, is designed to represent that we've been ordained, that we've been called to do this ministry. Now there's a lot of them, but all of them are sort of worn around the shoulders like this, and they have a lot of different things on them. This one was made by my mother. On the front, it has this beautifully embroidered chalice. It's made of this lovely fabric from Central America. My parents spent time in the Peace Corps in El Salvador and really came to appreciate the culture there. But this stole isn't about just that. It's about me too. So I'm going to take it off for a minute and show you something. I want to show you the back of the stole. The back of the stole is made of parts of many, many t-shirts. Here's one. This is the shirt that I was taken home from the hospital in. This shirt, Noah's Ark, is from a daycare that I went to when I was young. This is from Austin High School's Child Development Lab, another daycare I went to. I was a part of the Austin Children's Choir for many years. Down a little further, there's Pease School, where I went to elementary. Keeling Junior High, where I went to junior high. This is from a Latin club competition that I went to. And here's one of the seminaries I attended, Austin Presbyterian. On the other side, there's special things too. Something from the Honors College at the University of Houston, where I attended university. A printed on cloth version of my ordination. Other things, Bleacher Creatures from my time at the University of Houston. Something from my high school, LBJ High School in Austin, Texas. And finally, from Andover Newton, the seminary where I graduated. Each of these is just a little snapshot of my life, especially the sort of first 30 years or so of my life. And they're a little bit of me. They tell a little bit about the history of who I am. Maybe you have some things too, whether they're t-shirts or items or other wonderful things that tell a little bit about who you are, that are things that you look back to tell you about the story of your life or your heritage or your history. Here at Mount Vernon Unitarian Church, we're going to investigate a little bit of our shared history over these next few months as part of examining the past for what we might want to take into the future. I hope that you'll be a part of that, and maybe you'll share a little bit of who you are with me and with all of us. Thank you so much for your time and attention, and thank you for being a part of what we're doing here together.
Mount Vernon Unitarian Church continues to share the plate with committed organizations that our members have chosen. For the second half of August, we will share our plate with the Interfaith Criminal Justice Coalition, which consists of over 50 national faith-based advocacy organizations in Washington, D.C., of which the Unitarian Universalist Association is a member organization. The ICJC seeks a faithful response to end mass incarceration, fairer sentencing, and supporting restorative reentry programs in our communities and the entire nation. Contributions will be shared 50-50 unless otherwise directed by you. You are welcome to write a check and mail it to MVUC. You can also make payments via text or credit card. Information is found on the slide and in the chat box. During this time of music, We invite you to tenderly name in the chat box or silently the joys and sorrows that you hold within your heart.
I want to take a moment to invite us all into a moment of prayer and silent meditation. So first, let's get our bodies ready. Get out a few wiggles. Make sure that you're comfortable wherever you're sitting or standing or laying down. Take a moment to attempt to still your busy mind and focus on where you are, on what you're hearing, on what's going on just around you. We'll begin with a time of silence. Friends, we gather here from all the heres we are into this virtual space. We come from many rooms, from many neighborhoods, and for some few of us from many states and nations, perhaps far away from the physical location of Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. All are welcome. We say that, and we do our best to mean it. It's not an easy thing to do, to make all welcome. We try to welcome even those we disagree with, those we might even despise. To welcome means to bring people together, to bring people in, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. So this then is our prayer today. May we have the strength to welcome, even when we don't feel like it. May we have the wisdom to know that our welcome says more about us than it does about those we welcome. May we have the courage to be transformed by the people we meet, the experiences we share. And may we rely on one another, even when we're lacking. May it be so.
got off work at 7 p.m. and I did the thing where you chase the bus a little bit and then you realize you won't make it and you walk sheepishly back to the bus stop. I'm already an hour late to Sunday night singing at the Lucy Stone Cooperative in Boston, a UU affordable housing co-op. I'm still ambivalent. I could go home to Netflix and grilled cheese. I could choose predictability and warm carbs. Or I could get on the bus to this community where I was first a member of the planning team and now a board member. This place where, despite my leadership role, I still find myself questioning whether and how I belong. I give myself a little pep talk, reminding myself that I'm allowed to show up late and hungry and in need of a song. Reminding myself that being in community means offering care and being cared for, bringing my shiny self and my not so shiny self. When I arrive, there's a teapot of hot water and a plate of fat dates on the table. A friend presses a bowl into my hands, and there's broccoli soup. We sing Amazing Grace. The wonders of accepting love have made me whole and real. Community is covenant. It's the promise of a bowl of soup and a song at the end of the day. It's love in the form of a house on Moreland Street that has said that it doesn't matter that I don't live there, that I'm welcome on Sunday nights. Laid bare, it's the succor and accountability of doing that thing together that we cannot do alone. I've not always been my best self in the communities I've loved. I've shirked dish duty at Lucy Stone and missed weddings in my hometown. I've dropped out when I was needed and showed up full of pettiness and exhaustion. The wonder of accepting love is only made evident when we're allowed to shed the shiny and let the sourness show. Our communities of spirit are only real because we show up late expecting to be fed, because we both give and get, because we bring our tart and our sweet, our gifts and our struggles. We need lemon in the lentils, rice vinegar in the sushi, a squeeze of lime in the chelada, and some acid in our communities. Without it, our communities are superficial. With no acid, we're one note, monotone. Our vulnerabilities, our bits of brokenness, bring life to our relationships. We're part of a community where we show up shiny and not so shiny. We ladle soup into each other's bowls and we eat it eagerly. When we bring our sour and our sweet. When we shed the shiny, we show up hungry.
When I was 18, I moved off to live on my own for the first time in my life. It was the first time I'd spent more than a few weeks away from my parents. For that matter, it was the first time I'd spent more than a few weeks away from the house I grew up in Mofford Street in Old West Austin, the heart of Texas. I was so excited. I literally couldn't stop smiling for the entire 3-hour drive down to Houston, where I was about to begin my first year at the University of Houston. I had the windows down because the AC in my car didn't work. It was 100 degrees easily. And still I smiled. I was driving 65 on my way to a whole new thing. Now I was also nervous and even scared. Lots of things, many complex emotions. As Walt Whitman famously said, I contain multitudes. So partly it was excitement and trepidation at leaving what I had known, but more so it was about what I was going towards. The new, the scary, the potential reality. Now I think this is a universal experience. Maybe it wasn't college for you, maybe you weren't 18, but at some point in your life you left familiar surroundings for something new. It may even have been that the world changed around you while you stayed in the same place. But however it happened, you suddenly found yourself in a new and challenging, certainly unfamiliar place in life. All of us have found ourselves in some version of this position lately. The world has changed around us. A pandemic of proportions we haven't seen in more than a century has changed how we work and how we shop, how we interact with other people, even with our family and friends. changed our economy, our daily routines, our relationships, and so much more. Some of those changes have been bad, certainly. There have been deaths, losses, illness, lost jobs, missed time together, and many other things. And a few of those changes have been good, or at least neutral. Working from home for the many people who could do that. More time together with those in our household. Though, having spent a lot of time with my family of 6, I know that time together can be both wonderful and very challenging. One of the best things to come out of this pandemic time for me was reconnecting with some college friends. 4 of us have Zoomed a handful of times these last 15 months, connecting in ways we hadn't in nearly 2 decades. And that despite the fact that we're in 2 different states here in the United States, plus one of us in South Korea. One night we all shared, in fact, what food we had preparing in our fridges. I noted that clearly we have entered the pickling and fermentation stage of life, whenever that is, since all of us had some form of cabbage prepping, kimchi or sauerkraut, or in my case, curtido. Anyway, I digress. It's been really wonderful to see them, and I can't believe that it took a pandemic for us to make this happen. We're all left feeling like we need to find some new sense of normal, whether it's meeting with college friends we haven't in a while, or just the opportunity to go out to eat sometime, maybe. We want a new feeling of home. Not perhaps the one we left behind in March 2020, but a new sense of who we are and what our lives are, what they can be. That might involve some intentional change. There are people out there right now, after all, thinking about making their first visit to this congregation, whether online here or when we can be in person again, hopefully soon. We've had people already make their first visits here from the comfort of their own homes and communities both near and far. We have been challenged to rethink what it means to be Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. Not a building or a place, but a community that goes beyond just being in the same room. It can encompass members around the world. And so in this, my first sermon here, I want to say everything. And I have enough experience now in ministry to know what a terrible idea that is. We'll have many sermons and meetings and pastoral notes and hallway interactions for me to share with you all of those ideas. But it's still a daunting prospect to give a first sermon to a new congregation. Even though I've done it a few times now, I'm still a little daunted. How do I introduce myself to you and say something meaningful and set the tone for a ministry and welcome myself, I suppose, as an interim minister? I give these every couple of years and it never gets that much easier. One of my mentors in ministry, though, the Reverend John Burens, who was president of the Unitarian Universalist Association from 1993 to 2001, he told me once that we should turn this idea on its head. It's not my job as the new minister to welcome myself here. It's the community's job to welcome me. Just as it is all of our calling to welcome newcomers constantly into our community, to engage them in what we do and who we are, invite them to bring the gifts and perspectives they have that might change us. It's a good reminder to me. It's not my job as a newcomer to welcome myself, even as the minister. I'm supposed to be welcomed. Now rest assured, you're doing okay on that front. I was shown my office, I've been given keys, I've been contacted by many groups to welcome me and to ask for meetings, and I've met already with many of you via Zoom or when you've stopped by the church office on a day I've been here. A special thank you to all of those who have sent me postcards to introduce yourself. It's been wonderful to get to know many of you that way, to learn the basics and the little details you've shared about yourselves. They're just lovely to look at too, the pictures of what is meaningful to you or what you had around the house. And please feel free to keep sending them. I would love to get more if any of you are still thinking about doing it. Now, on my first visit here, my first physical visit a few months ago, I met with Reverend Dr. Kate Walker, and I toured the grounds, and I noticed what I'm imagining many of you have also. The simple words of one of our best-known hymns, "Enter, rejoice, and come in." We sang it earlier in this service. These simple words really contain so much of what we are striving to do. We enter into community. We rejoice. Indeed, we feel all the feelings: sad, happy, excited, nervous, grief. And we hold them with one another. And that's part of what coming in means, really. Not just visiting, not just showing up, but being there, really being a part of the community. It takes time to really come in, not just to dip a toe in. But this is a community that invites your whole self here. And even if that takes a while, and that's okay, we rejoice when people do that, when they bring all that they are here. People can come cautiously, but when they jump all the way in, it's a beautiful thing. And it's our job as those already here to help them do that. So enter, rejoice, and come in, friends. It is a central part of our congregation to help people find a sense of community, a sense of home, a sense of belonging. We welcome people into this special community. We want them to come. We want them to join in what we are doing and bring themselves fully. It's a core part of our faith, of our Unitarian Universalist religious tradition, and of this congregation to be welcoming, and I mean that in so many ways. We are a welcoming congregation, big W, big C, which is the name for the Unitarian Universalist program which congregations engage in order to make sure that we are being friendly to people of diverse sexual orientations and gender identities. We also strive to be accessible for those who have mobility issues. You can enter into most of our spaces without having to go upstairs. We want to be a place where people feel like they belong, like they are a part of what we're doing already, that we want them to be here, that we've designed things for them. It's not easy to do that. We'll make mistakes, but we're committed to doing the work it takes to be welcoming. Because to be welcoming, inclusive, friendly, spirit-filled, justice-seeking, this is Unitarian Universalism. Or at least the beginnings of it, because we'll unpack all of those words and ideas in the weeks and months to come. We'll explore more of what it means to be a Unitarian Universalist community, especially this UU community, and how each of us fit into that. We'll go into who we are and who we want to be as Mount Vernon Unitarian Church. So friends, again, enter, rejoice, and come in. And then welcome the next folks to enter, rejoice, and come in. May we invite them into what we are doing, welcome what they bring into who we are. More than ever, our world needs the power of welcoming community, the power that brings people together to make a better world for all of us and all who come after us too. May it be so.
Sit at the welcome table, number 407. sit at the welcome table one of these days. Hallelujah. We're gonna sit at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. All kinds of people around that table. All kinds of people around that table one of these days. Hallelujah. All kind of people around that table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. No fancy style at the welcome table. No fancy style at the welcome table one of these days. Hallelujah. No fancy style at the welcome table. Gonna sit at the welcome table one of these days. We'll make room at our welcome table. We'll make room at our welcome table on this day. Hallelujah. We'll make room at our welcome table. Make room at our welcome table on this day.
Will you join me as we unite our voices to recite the words to extinguish our chalice, words known within our hearts and can be found displayed upon your screen? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
Sorry, my apologies. Took me a minute to get unmuted. Friends, welcome to this time together. Thank you for welcoming me. I know that we're going to have a great time together during this interim period, and I want you to continue welcoming all our newcomers in the greatest way possible. So thank you if this is your first time or your 1000th time today, and I look forward to getting to know you better as the year goes on. Go in peace.